Tonight's headlines are brought to you by McDonald's.
Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Sally Lemus. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. An opportunity to learn and grow. Key leaders of a higher education committee visits Saipan. Also tonight, April is proclaimed as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And a journey down south is one to remember for a lifetime. And sports, on your marks, get set, go. The students beating the clock. Stay with us, we have these stories and more up next.
What's the move? Kinda wild out. Catch the groove. She said, where you going? What's the move? Kinda wild out. Catch the groove. What's the move?
Give me that fish. Give me back the filet of fish. Give me that fish. Give me back the filet of fish. Give me that fish.
Try a double Filet-O-Fish sandwich for double the flavor, just in time for Lent. For a limited time, served after 10:30 a.m.
Half a day to the Wami and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. Governor Palacios is in Tokyo, Japan today for a series of meetings with tourism and government officials. The new governor today flew out this morning to Tokyo and then had an early meeting this afternoon at the U.S. Embassy, followed by a meeting with JATA tourism officials at their headquarters. The governor is in Japan with the goal of jump-starting Japanese tourism to the NMI. Meetings this week include United Airlines, HIS, JTB. He will also attend the Marianas Tourism meeting scheduled for this Wednesday. Now, there are several options these days for NMI students who are thinking about going to college. One commission extends that opportunity throughout the Western United States and gives Pacific Islanders a seat at the table. The CNMI has been partnering with the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, also known as WICHE, since 2012. WICHE increases access to higher education and offers programs that essentially gets you a tuition discount. President Demi Mikelo emphasizes that WICHE works as an interstate compact, partnering with states, territories, freely associated states, and colleges in the Western United States.
We exist to increase access for students and opportunities for students, and it's just it's really important for us that the Pacific is part of that partnership. And we are celebrating our 70th year this year, so we're happy to have you part of that.
The Northern Marianas College is hosting a campus tour for WICHE key leaders. President Mikelo, along with Vice President Patrick Lane and Commission Immediate Past Chair and President of the University of Hawaii, David Lasner. NMC President Galvin Delon Guerrero says Wichi is an advocate and ally of the NMI and other jurisdictions in Micronesia, giving Pacific Islanders a seat at the table.
Now, during this time where more emphasis is paid to diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're living by those words by including us. And you're doing more than just giving us a seat at the table to amplify our voices. You've now come to our table to maybe partake of our food and get to know us better. And for small islands like ours, that is something that we truly appreciate.
Wichi has 3 commissioners representing the Pacific: Rodney Jacob from Guam, Kalani Kaniko from the Marshall Islands, and NMI's Frankie Elliptical. David Lasner is also on the commission representing Hawaii.
But I'm one of the commissioners, like Frankie, who essentially volunteer our time to help lead the commission and keep it in tune with the higher education needs of the West and the Pacific. And it's been really exciting for me. You know, Hawaii is in the Pacific, and we were always considered the far-flung member of Wichi. And the Northern Marianas really was the leader in the Pacific in working with Wichi to extend the organization and the relationship into the Pacific, with Northern Marianas being first, Guam second. Now we also have the Marshall Islands and FSM, and we're waiting to bring in American Samoa, not quite there yet, but it really adds a different flavor, I think, to the organization.
President Mikolos says they are a major voice at the governing table that has even evolved some perspectives and progress. As for giving students on this side of the world an opportunity to achieve higher education in the West,
just having that ability to diversify our student populations, not only for the Pacific but across the West, that's something that Wichi really was founded on. And bringing students across state lines and across territory lines just makes us all stronger, to your point. And it's kind of the best seat at the table.
Wichi is reaching out to other jurisdictions in the Pacific to take advantage of what they have to offer. Now, one frequently asked question from interested states or territories is, how does a membership in Wichi affect local institutions?
Often the question comes back to the Northern Marianas College. How has it gone for you? And they've been largely positive, I think.
Yes.
It hasn't been something that came in and competed with the college, but came in and supplemented the work that's already going on here. So I think that's been sort of crucial as we reach out to these other places.
Wichi offers programs for undergraduate students, graduate students, and those pursuing a career in health fields. To learn more about the programs, you can visit their website at wichi.edu or call the Northern Marianas College. Sexual assault is not the easiest topic to discuss, but it is a serious issue that happens right here in our community. One woman shares her story and her journey at a proclamation ceremony declaring April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Before serving in the CNMI's 16th legislature, Rosamond Santos Sword was a former prosecutor at the CNMI Attorney General's office. She then served a 4-month term as chief prosecutor before entering private practice for a few years. Currently, she is the president and owner of KKMP and is also a full-time mom and grandma. And today, she speaks as a survivor of sexual abuse and spreads awareness of this serious matter.
Once a child is broken, robbed of his or her innocence, he or she will spend the rest of their life searching for healing. Although it took well over 20 years of pain, tears, sorrow, hardship, prayer, hope, and desperation, I finally arrived at my safe space in my life.
Santos says she went through years of therapy to learn how to cope, how to live, how to love, and how to forgive.
Although I was living such a tormented life, I still yearned and craved so badly to heal. I thought I was just wasting my time in therapy because it is extremely difficult for me to talk about my molestations. but I knew I had to because it was part of my healing process as well.
She recalls a time when her therapist suggested to share her childhood trauma with her mom, but she was warned that things may not go as planned. Santos says she built up the courage to share her story.
After hearing what I had to say, she began to get angry with me, thinking I was blaming her for my childhood tragedy. I assured her that I did not blame her, my dad, nor my family for what had happened. I just wanted to let her understand why I was such a difficult child.
And speaking from experience, she urges sexual assault victims to not give up.
It's okay if your loved ones cannot handle this type of conversation. Sometimes it is simply too difficult for them, and that is quite all right. You will find someone else who will listen and who is able to listen.
Santos then turned herself to church, building a relationship with God and confiding in someone who was willing to listen.
Session after session with Padre Roger was what I finally needed to complete my circle of healing. Understanding my faith was the key to the beginning of my true healing. I prayed harder. When I say I prayed harder, I was having talks and discussions with God. Of course, I never heard God vocally respond to me, but he eventually did.
That was the start and the answer to her journey of healing.
One day, as I was attending Mass at St. Jude Parish, all of a sudden, I felt this tremendous burden and weight lifted off of my shoulders. I finally felt a release. I did not know what was happening to me, but all I knew was that it was a pretty darn good feeling, which I had never ever experienced before. I was finally released from my anger and rage of being victimized by demonic, perverted men.
She says she learned one of the hardest things a victim can do, which is to forgive her perpetrators.
My forgiving them was also releasing myself from many years of despair and torment. My forgiving them was the beginning of not living in anger, but rather living in joy and gratitude and love. But only by God and with God I was able to do that. Because of that grace, I finally was able to forgive myself. Because of God's grace, I finally was able to love myself and think worthily of myself. God's love was the missing link in my life. His love filled my void.
Lots of emotions filled the Hibiscus Hall this morning at the Crown Plaza as Santos shared her story. But her message is clear.
To my fellow survivors, please do not give up hope. God never gave up on me. He surely will never give up on you. He's waiting for you in his house. My name is Rosamond, and by the grace of God, I am a survivor. Thank you.
The Flame Tree Arts Festival isn't fully canceled. They are still weighing some options. Let's take a listen.
The Department of Community and Cultural Affairs and the Commonwealth Council for Arts and Culture has not formally canceled. It has not completely canceled the event.
Community and Cultural Affairs Secretary Mary Margaret Sablon held a press conference on Friday to clarify the status of a signature event in the NMI, the Flame Tree Arts Festival.
Unfortunately, we are at a really bad state, and it's just very difficult. We owe people from last year, we owe vendors, and we don't want to balloon the deficit more than it already is.
According to Sablon, they are left with a $25,000 deficit from the previous Flame Tree Festival.
To run it would cost a whole lot more, a little over double that, but we can scale it a little bit. It's going to require a lot more sponsors, a lot more money, and our economy is just not strong enough right now. We have to build, and what we have is very little.
Sablon says they are currently exploring other options.
We would like to push it back and see how we can build up on that. If we can push it to July and maybe work with people like the mayor's office, other partners, the private sector, to come out and help us with the big undertaking that it requires to make it happen.
They are also looking at holding the event at the end of this year. Coming up, we continue a special coverage of a trip to Satawal and hopes everyone gets there safe and back.
Location, location, location. Office space on Capitol Hill available now at the Hermosa Vista Business Park. With natural light and ocean views, it's the perfect place for creative professionals. So upgrade your life and your working environment. Schedule an exclusive showing now. Call us at 670-483-4750 or email hvsaipan@gmail.com.
My doctor gave me the pills, so they must be safe, right?
If taken exactly as prescribed, short-term use can be safe, but painkillers have real risk. Misusing an opioid painkiller can cause serious harm, including addiction and death, and misuse can happen quite easily. Make sure you never mix them with alcohol, antidepressants, sedatives, or sleep aids. And if you are prescribed an opioid, you need to tell your doctor about any other drugs, including herbal supplements that you are taking. It only takes a little to lose a lot.
This project was supported by a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. Contents are solely the responsibility of CHCC and do not necessarily represent the official views of the CDC or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. Tinian residents are advised of an upcoming water service interruption this week. The Commonwealth Utilities Corporation informs the general public, specifically those who reside in Marple Valley of Tinian, of a scheduled water service interruption for Thursday, April 6. The service interruption time is from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is to allow CUC's water crew to complete the repair of a 3-inch main water line. Motorists are advised to cautiously slow down while driving in the area. Captain and crew are underway on a journey that takes them along the Marianas Trench to a small atoll that is uniquely connected to the Northern Marianas. Our Chris Nelson reports.
You can never tell what Mother Nature is going to do. Although we prepare, we check the weather and all that.
Before the Spanish arrived in the Mariana Islands, there is evidence of Carolinian influence throughout the Marianas. But post-Spanish, much of that contact and trade went away as the Carolinians avoided the now Spanish-administered islands. During this period, the population of Chamorros plummeted, mostly from Spanish flu, and the Spanish took most of the local Chamorro population to Guam. Saipan was largely empty. That changed a bit in the 1830s when a series of devastating typhoons brought Carolinians to Guam, and they were then allowed to settle on Saipan. Almost 50 years ago now, Lino Olapai joined Master Navigator Mao on a journey to the Central Carolines on a traditional sailing canoe that left from Saipan. Their hope to reestablish the sailing and traditional navigation link between the Pacific families.
My very first experience when I took it upon myself to leave Saipan and visit our ancestral homeland for the very first time with my brother Mao Pielu. Although he have coached me several months before we depart Saipan. And even with that, man, I thought I was gonna die.
Mao, who passed away in 2010, navigated great distances with just the stars, the wind, and the waves, and has passed this knowledge on to others. Olapai, who grew up on Saipan, has the spirit of the ocean and navigation embedded deep in his life experiences.
We tell our friends when they're leaving, it's an emotional thing oftentimes. Because whenever we make a voyage, those of us that make Voyage, we always put it in our mind and spirit that we may not come back, a short one or a long one. So it's a farewell, which means farewell, goodbye.
In 1849, a large earthquake on Guam brought more devastation to the Carolines in the form of a tsunami, which swamped 4 of the low-lying atolls, including Satawal, for several hours, destroying all the plantings and most of the trees. This brought more migration to the Mariana Islands, and a number of them joined their Carolinian relatives on Saipan. Leo Pangilinan is the director of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
As many of you know, the Satawalese people, or the Carolinian Refalawash people in the Sinamay, many of them come from Satawal. So these are their traditions as well. So we want to come back with a documentary film that our people here in the Sinamay can relate to. Not just our Refalawash community, but our, every other community here who wants to learn more about our indigenous languages and cultures.
Pangilinan says once they arrive in Satawal, a special ceremony awaits.
We are going primarily to attend the traditional pool ceremony, which is a ritual that is considered a rites of passage for traditional navigators and others who hold traditional knowledge. And so this is pretty unique in the world, kind of a rare event. The last time it was held in Satawal, I understand, was either in 1951 or 1952, when it was when Mao Pialuk went to the ceremony himself to get that rank of Pairoro, to receive his full blessing.
Catherine Perry is the lone female on the voyage and says the furthest she has been on water is to Tinian.
My biggest concern probably is seasickness, because I do have a tendency to get seasick, not all the time, but sometimes, and so I'm not taking any actual medicine, doing a lot of natural techniques from traditional Chinese medicine and what the other people who are sailors have advised me. So I'm interested to see how that works out. It's either going to be a pass or a fail on that. And we are well supplied, hydrate, and don't overheat.
The Lucky Harvest has an engine, but no places to sleep and no toilet facilities for the approximately 3-day trip to the south.
I think the weather will be very good for this. It's preparation for these kinds of things. Reading the weather is not only today or yesterday. It takes, you go back further. And then one of the more critical ones is that if and when you get into serious weather, confronting the bad weather, then again, there's a process. You just flow with it.
How do you go to the bathroom? I don't see a bathroom on this boat. How does that work?
Right. So there is one example in terms of the physical, right? So God gave you something not to be ashamed of, and one of it is when you need to take Mother Nature. So there's nothing wrong with how you behave or how you do what you need to do to use the bathroom. The element is not about, you gotta be, where's the toilet and all this thing, or where's the toilet tissue and all this thing. No, you don't think, you just naturally do it, because if you don't and you get sick, then it's a burden for the other people around you.
Olapai says one thing he has learned in the open ocean is that even when you expect the unexpected, it's beyond your expectations.
In 1974, all the Mao Coast me like, stop it, there's nothing for you to worry about up there. I know where we're going exactly. Even then, just after a few days out, it took us 2 weeks, 1 week going up there, at least for me that first time. I thought I was gonna die. I would stand up on the canoe and look, how far are we from land? And I was asking for 7 more days, 7 more weeks, maybe. So anyway, that brings the transition from land to the ocean.
Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Chris. All right, don't go anywhere. We have sports up next.
Need a new phone? Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Premium office space available now at the Hermosa Vista Business Park on Capitol Hill. Upgrade your work-life balance and enjoy a distinctive blend of location and nature with open spaces and ocean views. It's the perfect place for creative professionals who want real results. Call us at 670-483-4750 or email hvsaipan@gmail.com. Hey, golfers, come north and practice your game at the Marianas Driving Range. New Year's local specials. 10-piece coupon books available for just $60. That's a $10 savings. Want to get really good? Come work on your swing every day for just $99 per month. It's our practice pass and you're going to love it. Grab your passes and go straight to the range. You can social distance and chip all at the same time, and the views are free. Reserve now at marianastrekking.com. You can pay online, open 7 days a week.
Buenas sports fans.
The Sinamay Public School System and the Northern Marianas Athletics collaborate, putting together an event for students who beat the clock on this race. The all-school athletics continues at the Oleai Sports Complex. Numerous students, including those from Rhoda and Tinian, participated in this event on Friday afternoon. In the under-12 girls 100-meter event, 3 heats were held. In Heat 1, Oleai Elementary School's Gabriela Rubin topped her division by crossing the finish line in 16.03 seconds. Second place is Abigail Castro of William S. Regis with a time of 16.27 seconds. Third place is another student from Oleai, Isabel Carrion, with a time of 17.11 seconds. In Heat 2, Tinian's Kiara Villagomez finished first, clocking in at 15.49 seconds. Rosalie Castro of Coblerville finished second with a time of 17.28 seconds. And the third place is Windsor Gross of Saipan International School with a time of 17.51 seconds. In Heat 3, third place is Jasmine Yalung of Sinapalo Elementary School with a time of 17.06 seconds. Oleai's Leia Pangilinan and Argenia Flores finished second and third respectively. Palacios clocked in at 17.44 seconds, while Flores' time is 17.74 seconds. Meanwhile, for the under-9 boys 100-meter distance, 4 heats were held. In Heat 1, Vicente Cruz of Tinian Elementary topped his division by clocking in at 17.3 seconds. Carver Gross of Saipan International School on the second place with a time of 17.94 seconds. And third place is Shang Wong of Tinian, and his time is 18.82 seconds. Gabrielle Walsh of SIS finished first with a time of 17.03 seconds. Second place is Jaden Conception of Oleai with a time of 17.26 seconds. Jodrick Torres of Tinian finished third with a time of 17.47 seconds. In Heat 3, another OLI student, Yumon Peter, topped his division. He crossed the finish line in 16.44 seconds. Coblerville's Leland Daniel finished second with a time of 17.89 seconds. Third place is Ezra West of Saipan International School with a time of 18.22 seconds. And in Heat 4, Tinian's Crixus Nebrida finished first. Second place is Saipan Community Schools' Lennox Sablon. And third place is Jacob Borja of OLI. Their official times were not available as of press time.
Hi, I'm Dre, one of the personal trainers here at Goat's Gym, and today we're going to be going over the leg press. Now I have here with me is Vince, and he's going to show you how to execute it properly in two different ways. A common mistake that you'll often see is leaving your hands free, either up here or on your lap. I strongly recommend you holding onto the sled and create that tension in the upper body, which then allows you to create more range of motion. So with his current foot placement, he was feeling it on his legs, his quads. Now with a simple adjustment by placing his foot a little higher on the platform and his toes pointed out slightly, he's going to transfer that tension, which was previously on his legs, onto his hamstrings and glutes. Again, he's gonna grab onto the sled, creating that bracing effect up here.
For your KSPN weather report, tonight mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms. South-southeast wind 7 to 11 miles per hour, becoming southwest after midnight. High 86, low 78, humidity at 72%. Tomorrow partly sunny. Southwest wind 9 to 13 miles per hour. High 85, low 76. Marine forecast combined seas of 4 to 5 feet look to build sharply late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning and continue through Thursday as a large northerly swell arrives. Hazardous seas are likely Wednesday and Thursday, possibly continuing into Friday. South wind 10 knots, wind waves 2 feet or less. East swell 3 to 4 feet. The sunrise will be at 6:11 a.m., high tide at 5:53 p.m., low tide 12:44 p.m., and the sunset 6:29 p.m. And there you have it. That is your Monday edition of the news, sports, and weather here in the Marianas. Thank you so much for watching the Channel 2 News. We hope you have a good night, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday.